Hey, welcome everybody to another little book review. Again, I like to keep these about 3 to 5 minutes just to kind of capture the heart of particular books and to recommend them to a particular people or where, its application to if you read it. This is not a book review about whether it's good or beneficial. It's not that kind of critique. It's really just to give you a very quick overview as well as to who I believe would be appropriate for. So another one of the books I've been reading or finished reading was Dead Aid. A really fascinating read. And I mean, I can't speak actually pretty much more highly for this book, why aid is not working and how there's a better way forward in Africa. So first and foremost, this is pretty specific to Africa. It is tackling a lot of the unique situations that Africa has found itself throughout history. But the book is broken up into two parts: a world with aid and then a world without aid. And this author, isn't just sharing opinions, right? It's not just observations. She holds a PhD from Oxford in economics and a master's from Harvard University. A very well-educated individual, born and raised in Zambia. I mean, this is someone who has authority to speak to this nation, I guess is what I'm saying. And so the first part of the book is very, very fascinating. It talks about a history of how aid came about out of World War II and all of these things about where it worked and why it doesn't work and why it's failing in Africa. Now, the second part of this book gets really heady because she begins to provide really practical solutions. And so if you understand how nations develop, if you understand GDP and you understand just basic economic growth and things like this, she goes down into some of the weeds for how countries can actually come up out of poverty and gives example of countries within Africa that have done this. It's a little bit dated in that it's probably maybe 10 years old by now. So just bear that in mind. Some things in here may not be as they are now, but I still would stand that this, if you're doing any sort of missions work, any sort of social enterprise, if you have any sort of heart for Africa, understanding the backside of aid and what it does to these countries and why poverty is still perpetuated, why there's wars and things like this, a lot of it can get linked to the aid itself. And it doesn't provide an incentive. Aid doesn't provide an incentive for government leaders to develop economically. So that's, like I said, that's a very, very short summation of it. But if you're traveling to Africa, if you have plans for long-term Africa, if you have a heart for Africa, or if you just are a nonprofit or anyone concerned about providing aid or providing alternatives to aid, then this would be a great book. It would be an interesting follow-up study to find out how widespread the solutions can be applied to other countries, because there are other impoverished countries. Although I will admit that Africa is very unique in a lot of its wars and tribal conflicts. So highly, highly, highly recommended. Dead Aid. Pick it up if you're going to Africa or have a heart for Africa. And I would say anyone who's wanting to start an international nonprofit who is engaging into a social enterprise, I consider this as well. So there you have it. Dead Aid. Quick little book review for you guys. Pick it up. Well worth your read.